Here I am, just relaxing in the apothecary. Look, now I just a warning for the early birds. A fly could come in and wave its wings, and it wouldn't even need to be the chaos effect. You know, a butterfly waving its wings in Santa Monica causes a hedgehog to roll over in Dartford. No, just the air of a fly's wings could take the whole illusion down. But in the meantime, we are absolutely flying. Because it is one, maybe, Matsuka. English Rose is back. I also saw, hello, Doc Shelley, hello, AR. He also said apothecary. I also saw Charlie Rose. I'm confused. Lurker, or I don't know what's going on. I know that YouTube or Google or someone's renaming everyone, which is nice. First of all, you're anonymous. Then you had to give them your fucking fingerprints, place of birth. And now they choose to name you. Absolutely ridiculous. Apparently, it's one of the worst areas of crime in that sort of North Kent, South East London area now. Dartford, apparently, it's a very dangerous place. Listen, people, I'll just do some chat. I didn't mean it like that. Well, it's lovely to have you back, Charlie Rose. Sometimes if I don't recognise the name, I just want to welcome someone because it's an honour to have people decide to spend time and intellectual and effort to consume some content. So it is my honour. It really is. Is that what's happening, Matsuko? I don't know what's going on. JP remembers you, Charlie Rose. There you go. IR says, I love the smell of opium in the morning. Smells of addiction. Interestingly, though, of course, when you could go and buy a few grains and more of opium from an apothecary in 1905, I think you could probably still score a few grains. And Lorden and that. There wasn't really much. You know, it wasn't a widely abused drug. And I say this kind of light-heartedly, but there is definitely there's an element of truth about it. It's not until you get the Velvet Underground. It's not until you get Prohibition. It's not until you get it's naughty. Not until you get the deviant factor. You know, it's not until it seems like an act of resistance. Which is weird because opiates are kind of the perfect commodity in many ways. You know, they create the problem that they solve. Fucking hell. And the only product, if the quality is low, you'll pay more and buy more. What a joke. Absolutely ridiculous. E for Elephant is on the firm. I am. It's been an hard day at work, in fairness, but I'm not going to moan. You know what? The other day, people, before I streamed, I thought, I am shafted. Do I really want to stream? I always want to stream, but it's like, let me move my mic and I can sit back in the apothecary a little bit more. Let me know you can still hear me all right when I'm relaxing. I can't relax too much or I'll knock the laudanum off the shelf. I'm a bit low, though, aren't I, when I do that? Let's try a bit of this. There you go. And again, thank Packer for bringing this channel up to date by causing me to actually consider what it looks like. Yeah, and after the stream, me and Packer sometimes usually have a little debriefing. And I said, Packer, was that stream as bad as I thought it was? He went, no. He's like, just lovely. He just went, no, as if to sort of say, don't know why you think that. He said people were donating to keep it going. I wouldn't. And I thought, yeah, you know, we can be our own worst critics sometimes. You know, I just want it to be brilliant. And when you stream as much as me, it ain't always going to be brilliant. But one thing I have to remember is you lot talk amongst yourselves as well. And that's a community. I don't have to. It's not just me here. That's quite important. Something else I've got to tell you. So I always laugh at writers who talk about having writer's block. I've never had it. I mean, I think writers have the opposite problem. You just can't stop. Here's my new first world problem, yeah? So, I've been bragging, Freudian slip. I haven't written a novel at all. This new novel, I just wrote a novel. And I knew when I wrote it, because it's for a 14-year-old's voice and a 14-year-old's writing, like it's first person, he's speaking. It's not how I usually write. Well, I don't have a style, really. I jump about a little bit. But I thought this is going to be a doddle. One read and write through, and then that goes to beta readers. I was saying to people 2 weeks ago, you'll have that in about a week. So I do my one read and my one write through. It's now 115,000 words. And you'd think that would be a good thing. No way, man. 150. It's terrible. It's too big. It's a journal. There is a story arc, but there is character development. The bloke at the front isn't the bloke at the end. The front, the beginning. But it's just too big. So now I've got to do another read and write through and cut it down. And you know what I can see happening? If I'm not really disciplined and if I haven't learned, I'm going to have another 800-page novel on my hands that I can't afford to publish. So, yeah, I've got to get that. I'd read it. I'd read 110,000 words of my own journal-based novel, but I can't expect other people to do that. Maximum 80,000, it's got to be. Anyway, so, if that's as bad as things can get, I'm all right. The missus comes back tomorrow, which would be great because it's not eating, lark. I mean, yogurt and honey, not great. The honey had crystallized. I've never had crystal. Usually it doesn't crystallize because the missus makes sure there's a continual supply of yogurts. So the honey doesn't get to last. And it's gorgeous Cambodian honey as well. And I've seen where they make it. It's great. They literally just been poured out of the hives, all the little octagons and that. Are they octagons or hexagons? I suppose it depends what B it is. Dodecahedron. B, C, B, C, D. But crystallized honey is pretty good going, man. I'll tell you what, if you've never done it, get yourself plain yogurt and get some crystallized honey and just eat it. Just don't mix it. Just get a big lump of the crystallized honey on a spoon and a much bigger lump of the yogurt. But I don't think that counts as eating for a day. Anyway, I think it's time we do a bit of this. Bosh. Yo.
Hello.
Picard.
All right. Hello.
Look at us in our colourful rooms.
Yeah. Cool, isn't it?
It's amazing. I haven't even got a light on. Let's make it even better. Bosh. There you go.
Wow.
See? How have you been today, son?
Oh, good. Been building more shed.
More shed?
Well, yeah, I'm slowly building a shed.
Now, is it one of those slowly, as in it's been 5 years now, or is it 5 months or 5 weeks or 5 days? When you say slow, I want to, how slow is a piece of speed?
Well, it'll be up this week, as much of it as I can build for the wood I've got. It'll probably.
And hang on, you've bought planks of wood, have you?
Sort of. I've got various panels from other shed, and I had a floor.
Hang on. Whoa. Can we just focus on you using the singular there? You've got planks of wood from other shed.
Yeah, I took a shed down where I work.
Right,
so
from another shed. That's what threw me. I quite liked it. Can't get a word in, mate. Can't get a word in edgeways, can you? So, no. What's the roof going to be? Like a felt roof? Is that what you do?
Yeah, probably.
Is that bitumen, or do you is it a blag job? I don't know anything about.
Sure. I don't know what I might.
Things like this.
I might go for some kind of new plasticky type material.
My old man used to use that plastic that went like that.
Oh yeah, I won't use that corrugated. No.
Well, it used to end up about 10 gardens up with the slightest bit of wind. We had a bloke who was like the managing director of Tarmac. I think they got bought out by Briggs of Masco. Remember all that lot? And he started working at Tarmac. Is that what they were called, or is it Briggs of Masco? One, you know, that big company that does Tarmac Adam. He joined at the bottom. You know, he was melting bitumen, carrying rolls of felt up ladders, eating up the bitumen and sticking them down and all that. And he ended up being like an executive manager, like one of the top boys, you know, went from an house in my street that I grew up in into this like 8-bedroom detached place out in Who it's called. And like his daughters had horses, you know, a complete change of life. And he come and put a felt roof on our shed, like about 4 meters square. He loved it. He went, I ain't done this for decades. You know, he just bought it comes in like a cement bag, but it's solid, isn't it, the bitumen? And that's when my dad showed me that you could snap it off and it was like petrol flavored chewing gum. And, I sold a fair amount of that at school as well until I got taken into the office. Yeah, but 10p for a little nibble will keep you going all day, but probably kill you in the end. I hope no one sues. All right, listen, people, I'm just going to let a few more people rock up. We've got a wicked stream. I'm going to react to it. It's not a stream. Well, it was a stream, but I watched a bit of it, and it's not what you think. Now, I don't know what you think, obviously, but it's kind of interesting. It took me. Now, the problem is, at the beginning, it's going to be a little bit disjointed because you know what YouTubers are like. They hook at the beginning with a few clips. Then there's a bit that doesn't really matter to what we're talking about. But I actually come away from this feeling quite optimistic about Western Europe and other places that the globalists have decided to throw down the pan. So I haven't watched a lot of it. Excuse me. And we won't watch all of it because it's an hour. And with me gabbing over it and reading out chats and that, we'll be here all night. And I haven't got the energy. I'm sure you haven't got the motivation. But we'll watch, 15, 20 minutes of it. There's a link to the source video in the description of this video. So if you enjoy it or get something out of it, I suggest checking out a bit more of it. It's one of Andrew Gould's heretics, should I say, series. It's Matthew Syed. He's a writer for the Times, and a pretty interesting bloke actually. And I have to say I quite like Andrew Gould. I've watched his journey. I've watched him just gently easing to the right, and in every conversation he has, if you don't know Andrew Gould, you probably do. He's got a huge channel. Let's see how many subscribers he's got. And it sort of come out of nowhere as well. Yeah, just under 500,000. Wow. He's got, well, anyway, we're gonna cut into that. So JP wants all night. Well, if you can afford it, John, yeah, there's always one thing. And while we're on that, quick grift, buy me a coffee. You can use that. Packer's about to indicate a QR code that you can hang your phone camera over and you'll get a link and you can donate over there. I will show your donation on the screen. You'll get your moment of thank yous. Entropy donations also up there. You'll also get your moment on this, not using that QR code, but it's at the top of the YouTube chat, and super chats at the bottom of the YouTube chat. All donations much appreciated. If you can and you want to, I'll take it. And if you can't or you don't want to, that's also fine. I think we can get into this now. Well, we've got 53 people in. We'll wait till there's 60 because a lot of the you can't do anything these days. Good Lord. I mean, what? Oh, Dottie, did I just see Dottie? Dottie, I've got an email to reply to you. Also, Dottie, that was a beautiful email you sent me. I will reply. It's just I've been very busy. You might be able to hear pings in the background. That's a marketing campaign I've done. And every time it pings, it's letting me know someone's opened that email. And NVIDIA earnings call today. And NVIDIA are priced for perfection for like about the next 5 years. And I've taken another risk with the house money. And if the missus gets back tomorrow, you know, I keep her involved in what's going on. And I really shouldn't have done it, but it might work. I've actually made a trade, and I'm not a trader. I'm a long-term investor because trading doesn't usually work very well. But let me find this message. So there's a load of other stuff. He doesn't want me to tell you who he is, but he said this. So this is what the end of the email. Yeah, this is a scrub, and I get a few of these, but I've never had one that has actually mentioned numbers. Listen to this. I just wanted to thank you for getting me into investing. So about 2-3 years ago, and in fairness, we've had a very bullish run. It's an anomalous bullish run for the last 3 years. 2022, it's sort of the arse sort of fell out of it. So that's like a sale. So anything you bought in like late 22, 23, it's sale price stocks. And then it's just gone. And because we're having, listen to this and know it. And if you want to challenge it, don't challenge me. Go have a look for yourselves. Go, you know, you're sitting in front of a computer. We're in an industrial revolution. It's not. I don't toss that around like it's an industrial. We actually are. It's happening, and they're significant. Look what the last one done. You know, this industrial revolution we're going through at the moment will be more significant than the internet. Imagine that. Imagine that. And the implications across so many areas are just... Anyway, this is what he said at the end of his email. I just wanted to thank you for getting me into investing. For 15 years, I'd managed to save around 27 grand. But after taking your advice and really digging into it, that's important. You know, I did tip NVIDIA, Palantir, SoFi. There's no problem. You can thank me later. After taking your advice and really digging into it, that's now grown to nearly 250 grand. 27, it took him 15 years. And in a couple of years, he's got $250,000. I honestly can't thank you enough. My life has completely changed. So I immediately wrote back to him and said, get that money out of those stocks. You always like that, you know, because part of investing is having a plan. You know, when are you going to get out? And you got to stick to it, because what happens is you get greedy. Oh, when I've gone up 50%, I'll cash out, and then I'll play with the house money, so to speak, you know, your profits. But it gets here and you're like, oh, this is easy. This is easy. The stock market does crash. That's part of the stock market. It is volatile. You know, I think there's like a 20% correction once every year or once every 2 years. There's 5 and 10% corrections all the time. Now think about it. Doesn't sound like a lot, but let's have a look at 20% correction. Imagine you invested 50 grand and you're up to 200 grand. And there's a 20% correction. That's like average over the market. But some of your stocks might have gone down 40, 50%. And that can happen while you're sleeping. Sometimes they can just go, and you wake up and you think, oh, I'll just have a look at my portfolio, like everyone does every day, even long-term investors. You know, you're not meant to. And you can have lost like 90 or 100 grand in a day. And then you're like, yeah. So I hope he sticks to his plan and uses that money for, you know, whatever his plan was. But he's certainly done well out of it. And I've had a few like that. And I think it's important. I've had a lot of stick about it from people, not scrubs, but you know, all that investing, you know, you're telling people to gamble. Well, you know, there's a reason people get rich, because they generate wealth. There's a reason the rich have stayed rich since richness become a thing. You know, if you're spending everything you earn, and some people have to, I get that. You know, I'm not far off it. Anyway, let's get into this video, because we'll be here all night. Maybe it's just hello Shane, nice to see thee. Ian's left to go and have fun with a puppy. That's all right. There you go. Shane says, I don't want to marry, I just want to fuck my cousin. I want to fuck my cousin. Pag says that one of his driver vowels may be on the way out. 12AU7. He'll swap the PS Fane E134 for the generic ones. He'll get back to us on that. So, all right, people. Please do, Pags, because now you put me under stress. Mousecat says, get out, old, buy assets, buy tangibles. I don't know about that. I don't know, but maybe there's many ways of doing these things. George Granada. George Nada. George Nadar. I'm going to call you George Nadar. Nusuf, I can't read that out. Good evening, Chris, Packer, and everyone. Who's George Nadar? Do we know who he is? Is that Pax Max? Lord knows. Right, let's get into this video. We've hit Magic 61. I'm just going to see, no and no. Right, so this could blow your mind, people. If you donate on Buy Me a Coffee or Entropy, let it be known in the chat, because Packer will probably see it and they'll let me know, and then I'll be able to cut and paste and put your message on the screen. All right, super chats do that automatically. Right, here we go. Now, like I say, it's going to be a bit choppy at the beginning. Do blame me for that. It's lack of preparation. I've stopped working like 15 minutes ago, so it was like just jump on it. But this gets very, very interesting. So the first minute or so is the hook. So it'll look like a montage of little bits, because that's what it is. They're the little interesting bits from the video that old Goldilocks has put on at the beginning to hook you in. Let me know if you get an echo. I'd rather not have to wear my headphones. So if I can get away with it, I will not. So I might have to turn it down a little bit. Hello, Huxley Pig. How are you, son? Visionary Companion is on the firm, fresh from a neoprastomy tube dressing change. I don't know what one of them is, but I hope it's all good, and I hope it's all good. There's not much else to add. I don't know what it is, but I hope you're all right. Pags wants you to smell fungibles. Right, here we go. Why cousin marriage? The video's called. Don't forget, link to this video in the description. I would check it out. We're only doing like 20 minutes of it, but that'll be like an hour and a half scrubs time. Oh, I was not aware of that, VC. Oh, I'd forgotten. Apologies. Loki's going through that as well at the moment. Yeah, man. If you ever want to email me, you want to chat or anything, if you just want to talk to someone out of your immediate family and friends, I'm always available. That offer's there. Okay. Not that it might, that offer's there. There you go. That's all I need to say. Chuck Beret, how do I donate for a brick that says fuck off? Well, you can have fuck off if you want. It's 20 quid. So you donate 20 quid either onto you can whatever platform you wish, but the Buy Me a Coffee above Packer's head or at the top of the chat, I'll do you a fuck off brick, no problem. Not a problem at all, sir. Right. Hello, Arius. I've missed your humour. Start again. I'm sick of the tubes not notifying me. You know what? So many videos, 20 odd comments. I didn't get notified, didn't get notified. You haven't missed anything, Arius. I've just been gabbing as ever. Always available until I'm not. Exactly that. Cousin marriage sponsored by Ovis. Right. Like the way Brits talk. Or one with fuck you, Chuck. You know, we can play this game all day. Well, I can really play it up if you want, Shane. Water. Water. Build the wall, says Sheila. 5 years too late. The completion backwards principle. Good Lord. Right, should we get into this video? We've got 67 people now. Here we go. Let me know if there's too much echo or any. If there's any echo, I'll go and get my headphones. This is really interesting. I think you're going to love this. It will be a bit choppy at the beginning, not the picture itself, but just the bits I don't want to bother listening to because they're not that interesting.
There was a ban on cousin marriage in the 6th century. This was an absolutely seminal moment.
Right, that is key, people. There was a ban on cousin marriage in the 6th century. And this is seminal in the history of the world. And you'd think, well, why? And this is where we're going.
There was a ban on cousin marriage in the 6th century. This was an absolutely seminal moment in the history of our species. And that forced people to marry outside their tribe.
And more social cohesion.
An emerging national...
That forced people to marry outside of their tribe. Now, at the moment, that sounds a little bit negative, but when you hear it in context, you'll see the internal and external contradictions that are at the heart of multiculturalism and why it's only going to get worse.
Identity.
Yeah. And then invited
an emerging national identity. When you start breeding outside of your tribe, now that isn't outside of your ethnicity or ancestry or race, it's tribe. So, you know, you might just be like, you know, hunter-gatherers, a family of hunter-gatherers. But if you're breeding with cousins, you're not growing so much. You're not developing. You're not going to be making the most of your resources, and you're not going to be able to. Well, let the video talk.
Number of people who were perhaps still in that tribal.
You can hear it all right in that, can you?
Phase.
People from the Kashmiri community are still marrying their cousins. It's been a serious strategic mistake, one that we...
There you go. So people in England, in the Kashmiri community, are still marrying their cousins. And when you find out the implications of cousin marriage, and I'm not talking about birth defects and things like that, I'm talking about social, cultural, civilizational, national maintenance.
We didn't envision at all. Worries me deeply that cousin marriage...
Oi, Special K. That's why I put. I had that in the bank for why someone. I thought someone might say, "Why did you put Pinder on the thumbnail?" And I was going to say, "Didn't you know she was my cousin?" I thought everyone knew that.
Which is holding these siloed communities in places like Rochdale and Bradford, congenital diseases.
Quite siloed.
This cultural relativism, the idea that all cultures are equal, and it's racist to question.
There's no now just putting the toothpaste back in the tube, is there?
I think that there's only two things we can realistically do. One is...
And so it begins. And ban cousin marriages. That's a suggestion. And you'd think, well, what's that going to do? Well, it's a bit like banning practices like FGM. It's a bit like banning practices like halal.
Hi guys, can you please do me a favor? We're trying to make sure over 50% of you
Right,
viewers...
so this is what I meant about choppy. We really don't need to listen to Andrew Gold shilling his channel. Lata says that 90. I can't say these are true, but Lata says 90% of London hospitals' paediatric budget is spent treating kids, treating congenital defects in kids from cousin marriages. Wow. I mean, I knew it was a lot, but I didn't know it was that lot. Hello, Billy.
As well, and you're quite esoteric as well. I got to really think when I'm reading your work, which is great. And I saw you recently. Iran
We don't need this.
A month ago, but Iran's completely off everyone's radar suddenly. Are we still headed towards some kind of World War III? How might
So Gold asks, are we heading towards some kind of World War III?
it happen? What's going on?
I think there's no doubt that the world is more unstable and volatile than it was 5 years ago or 15 years ago or 50 years ago. And I think it's not impossible. We have war in Europe, in Ukraine. We have conflict in the Middle East. We have conflict in Africa. But I think it's not impossible that if China, depending on how brave Xi Jinping is feeling, go for a blockade of Taiwan, then you would have war in 3 theaters, and you'd have a reasonably coherent set of adversaries. You'd have the Western Alliance, NATO, as it's sometimes called, and then Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. And these kind of wars happening simultaneously in different theaters, I think you would probably then describe it as World War. I think it's a risk. I think it's one of the risks we face as a species. But there are others that we talk about less. I think we have existential risk from AI. I think there's existential risk from bacteriological warfare. There's existential risk, I think, probably coming down the tracks as we learn more through AI about new kinds of technologies that we haven't yet developed the capacity to control or channel effectively. And because we're so disputatious at the moment in the world, I don't think it's really likely that we're going to be able to come together and adequately control any of these things. So we're in a very interesting and unusual era in the history of humanity. Most eras think that they're in a special era. Yeah. But if you actually look at and it's very interesting, if you look at these wonderful books, I'll have to remember the name so you can maybe post it on the evolution of technology. Mm-hmm. Because if sort of anatomically modern humans came around, say 250,000 years ago, very little technological change for centuries, sometimes thousands of years at a time. You might change slightly a stone axe or an arrowhead. We hunted and gathered in nomadic groups across most of the world. The agricultural revolution, 12,000 years, shook it up.
So the agricultural revolution is quite an interesting one. One of my best friends, Trevor Locke, said that was the start of the end. Hunter-gatherers would find food they needed and they'd eat it. And then if you're in somewhere like most of Europe, well, certainly Western Europe, you're looking at 4 seasons. So they started doing things like preserving foods. Chutney is a classic example of an old preserved food because there weren't a lot around in the winter. But the agricultural revolution and crop rotation and specialization and division of labor, you get the start of surplus. You get the start of producing surplus. And what do you have when you get surplus? Well, you either get a load of work, you get a lot of labor wasted, or you get the ability to trade. And as soon as you get the ability to trade, the markets are there. That's the start of the market economy in a sense. Well, not in a sense, it is the start of the market economy. So, it's interesting that something that's extraordinarily tedious and benign from a distance, when you sort of almost negligible, really, when you get up close, the agricultural revolution was the start of the market economy. There's plenty of people that would disagree with that, but in the context I'm talking about, you can see that from going from hunter-gatherers to agriculture, crop rotation, specialization of labor, division of labor and specialization, you get surplus.
Economic growth was basically very close to zero. And even after the agricultural revolution, when we were effectively using wood as the main source of fuel, if you wanted to get more economic activity, you had to bring less fertile land into cultivation, which reduced the returns to labor and capital. So it was just very difficult to create compound growth, if that makes sense, exponential growth.
Yeah.
It was only really with coal where you just keep digging and then converting that latent heat energy into mechanical energy, everything hockey sticks up. And so if you think about electricity, population explosion, and all of the other things that we computation that we think of as now distinctive of the world, this all happened relatively recently. And really the action is accelerating, I think, with drones and AI and cyber and the scientific breakthroughs we're making, the web of science, which could be contained 300 years ago in 12 volumes of encyclopedias. There are now millions of papers, so that any one person can only know a very tiny sliver of knowledge. So it means people are making breakthroughs in these tiny areas, but not many other people know about it. We don't know what the risks are, about how these things can come together to create the exponential and existential risks.
It's interesting when you look at artificial intelligence, which is that's the start of this industrial revolution. But any papers I've seen that are sort of looking at potential problems or issues, they're sort of degree, bachelor degree level. Well, people aren't going to be able to work. A lot of people are going to lose jobs and that. But I think it's going to be a little bit more significant than that. Now, not necessarily in a negative, but the way we live, the way we communicate, the way we socialize, the way we build communities, everything, the way we work, the way we buy, the way we go to market, the way we put products to market. It's all going through this ridiculously fast transformation, and no amount, and I'm really an absolutist, but no amount of talking about it can keep up with the speed of change and the speed that technology changes at. And it's, if you just look back at what I said about pasture farming, as Pags put it, and crop rotation, producing surplus, what that done to civilization, the changes that made, which we'll get into when you go from the hunter-gatherer little clan, and then moving outside of the family and building bigger tribes until you get the nation. And that came from farming. And with this revolution, Lord knows. And it's almost like science has been let off its leash. If you go back to, this isn't my specialist area, but if you look at the Enlightenment, Derrida talks about an archive fever, like the idea of archiving and everything that was discovered was sort of registered and kept an eye on. It was watched. It was, the changes it made were part of the discourse. There's a great book by a terrible leftist. He's a historian. Everyone slags him off, and I just don't understand it. He's a fucking historian, and unbiased, as well as unbiased as anyone can be. But Foucault wanted to find out what the object of discourse was around medicine, I think it was, political economy, and there's another one I can't remember. And it turns out that the object of discourse was the discourse itself. And you've got a problem when you get into that kind of, it's almost quantum when the object you're studying is the study of the object. And AI technology is it's moving too fast to even let that happen. So you've got this tremendous growth of technology, and at such rapid speeds. And it's, you know, it's just, we're all just there letting it happen. And I don't think there's anything you can do about it. I think technology has reached kind of, what do they call it? What's it called when, if you drop a hamster from a terminal velocity? I think technology may have reached a terminal velocity where it's, like I said, it's off its leash, and it could work out. It could work out really well. But of course, it could work out terribly bad. It could work out a little bit of both. Hello, Toffee. Hello, humans.
Which I think are arising ever faster. So it's very interesting to me. E.O. Wilson, wonderful scientist, said that we're drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. Wisdom, the capacity to bring different bits of knowledge together, to understand how they fit together so we can use them productively, but also mitigate the risks that face us as a civilization. And I think war is one of them, but there are many others.
Is that last part you said, is that a weakness of something that I've always loved the idea of, which is individualism? You know, I used to, my old channel, I used to,
right, here we
have a
get
go at
into
all the
it.
religions and cults and things. So one week it would be Hasidic Jews, and then Mormons, FLDS, Islam, all of these things. And, but there were sort of, you know, this collective notion of a wise person and a group telling stories to one another. And now we're sort of individuals.
Do I think that that's one
That
of
might
our
be
problems?
responsible for the lack of wisdom.
I think individualism has had a kind of dual effect in history. After the agricultural revolution,
John Palmer brought me 3 futures. Thank you, John Palmer. Thank you very, very much. Much appreciated.
where you're cultivating land and domesticating animals, can you see, with nomadic hunter-gatherers, anyone angry comes your way, you can just go somewhere.
Right, I'm going to ask you, I know you love chatting with each other, and if you prefer to do that, crack on, but this is key to the whole video now. I'm going to take it back a little bit because my John Palmer, thank you, John, interruption might have affected things, but check it out.
Where you're cultivating land and domesticating animals, can you see, with nomadic hunter-gatherers, anyone angry comes your way, you can just go somewhere else and just pick the fruit and whatever else that you need to eat and survive. So it's a very sparsely populated planet. But once you're cultivating land and you're putting effort into building a community, you need to be able to defend the land. Otherwise, somebody can just wait, see you cultivate it, and then just take it from you.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that such a small thing can change the arrow of history? You go from hunter-gatherers, and like he says, if some other little clan come along, you can either fight them or just do the off at night. But if you're farming and you're growing all your fruit and veg, and you might even have some cattle involved there, another clan can come along and just wait for it to grow, and when you're sleeping, dig up all your potatoes and nick your cows. So then you've got to arm yourself. And then when you're arming yourself, you've also got to start thinking about numbers, because this clan might come from this direction, and then word gets round that there's people over there. They've got fields full of food. You know, we're eating each other's toes, and they've got fields full of food over there. So changes have to be made. Societies start being formed. Things happen. Hello, Plastic African. Good to see thee. I think that's very kind of you, Jay Taylor, Fiver. Hope you're keeping well, Chris. I overworked myself, JT, but they're the sacrifices you make, and I'm just coming back into myself. And I got a novel out of it, so I'm not complaining. And I'm always cheered up by a Lady Godiva in the back pocket. Thank you very much. I hope you're well too.
But at that point, in order for you to be able to... communal defense, it seems to me, is built out of social solidarity. Because if you and I don't know each other, but if somebody started to... you can imagine there's an incentive to try and hide behind each other. We're genetically selfish.
Yeah.
But how do you build out this social solidarity at scale beyond the family? You start seeing all around the world the emergence of tribes and clans and kindreds, social institutions built around a shared ancestor god, a kind of a glue to hold them together, rituals.
This is really interesting because I've talked about rituals here before. Look at us. Look at our, let's assume most of the people in this chat, I know what my numbers are like. I know what the age is and the sex is. Well, not the sex. Well, I could probably have a guess. But the gender, dare I say. We never had that. Who has adequate rituals to move from boy to man, from girl to woman? When girls go through puberty and start bleeding and start growing breasts and having men in cars start whistling at them, where like a month before, no one paid them any attention whatsoever. When boys start becoming men, it's almost secret. Certainly not all, hashtag not all, but working class communities, you don't go, I don't ever remember going up to my old man or my mum and saying, oh, look, this is happening, this is not a chance. My mother would have just said, get off, go away, go out in the garden or something. And come talking to me about that. And so listen to this list of things he mentions here that have all been taken from us. And they've been taken from us for a reason. I do have to interrupt slightly because I think Chuck Berry has just bought a fuck off brick. Do you really want fuck off and not Chuck Berry or something? Confirm what you want, Chuck, in the chat, and your wish will be my forget. It won't. Let me know. Packer, can you keep an eye out for Chuck's confirmation, please?
I will.
There you go. Thank you, Chuck, though. It's much appreciated.
Yes, he says yes. He wants fuck off.
He wants fuck off. All right. I will put it on the wall right now. But think about it, people. Think about... I've said it so... We've talked about it a lot. Our culture had an absolute lack of rituals. Look at Jewish culture. They have all sorts of rituals in their lives. Look at Islamic culture. It's full of rituals. And what did we have? What? I just can't think of any. Getting pissed? You get drunk? Mr. Beret? Oh, my screen's too small, but you are on the wall, and that's Machano Kaprasha Tutu. That's going to screw the literary historians of next year. Right, where are we? Right, listen to this list of things.
To God. Social institutions built around a shared ancestor god.
A shared ancestor god. Well, look at what Nietzsche said. We killed God. We done that. We got rid of him. And when you get rid of God, you get rid of religion. The churches dry up. No one goes to church. That community starts falling apart at that point. So that's the first one.
A kind of a glue to hold them together.
He says it. It's a glue that holds you together. Everyone would go to that church on a Sunday, and they would do events, and they would do other meetings at other times during the week. And there was and you can imagine there was a sense of morality. There was a sense, I see it out here. If someone out here, and I hear it, you'll hear someone screaming, pissed out their head, shouting in the middle of the night. And the community, their behavior, it reflects on them, and they are treated differently by the community. Not forever, but there are consequences to that. And I remember that in the 70s. When, if word got round that so-and-so give his missus a slap, he didn't get invited anywhere. No, you ain't coming. His wife was, and she'd come to get the fuck away from him. And he knew that unless he sorted himself out, he was ostracized. And there's two people I can just off the top of my head who actually done the off. They left. in one street, that is, because that's how powerful that community is. It regulates behavior. It's not about compliance. It's about an agreed set of expectations and standards. So when you take those things out, those agreed expectations and standards go with them.
Around a shared ancestor god, a kind of a glue to hold them together. Rituals, initiation ceremonies.
Rituals, I already mentioned that. We ain't got any of them, none of them. We try, you can almost see the sort of residue of them. When, like blokes pissing on fires. I know that might sound a bit weird, but all the blokes in this chat, when you were young and you were down the woods and you built a fire, it's time to put the fire out. Now, there might be a river or a lake 5 meters away, but blokes piss on fires to put them out. Put a 1 in the chat if you've got memory of 2 or 3 of your mates standing around a fire, cock out, pissing on it. And there's a lot of mythology about that stuff. Who was it? Was it Prometheus, Latus, or Pags? I think it was Prometheus who got tied up and had his liver pecked out. And we all know what the liver does. And there's that whole idea. And Prometheus stole fire from the gods. I think he stole it from Zeus, maybe, but certainly from the gods. And that was his punishment for stealing. If I'm getting this wrong, it's not my main area, but I think this is pretty on the money. Prometheus, I think, stole fire from the gods and gave it to mortals, and his punishment was to be tied up and he had his liver pecked out. And you have to do a deeper dive than that, but there's a connection, a historical connection with urine and fire, and kids, young boys piss on fires. And all I'm suggesting is that's one example of like the sort of diluted residual rituals that young boys are desperate for these things. Young girls are too. I don't have that experience. Thankfully, if I had experience of young girls, it'd be a fucking problem. But we crave them, and not having them, that's why we end up sitting on our own in rooms. That's why we don't breed enough to replace ourselves, because it doesn't seem worth it. It doesn't seem worthwhile. The value falls out of it. We haven't got skin in a bigger game. Why have 6 kids? Why have 6 kids when you can get welfare, when you can get a pension? Cambodian girls have usually got 5 or 6 kids by the time they're like 23, 24, because there's no welfare. There's no welfare, there's no pension. And they want their province to be able to recreate itself, to reproduce itself. They're going to lose some through death and disease, but some are going to work, some are going to be able to build houses, some are going to be able to farm, and others are going to be able to breed. But when you've got all those so-called safety nets, they're traps. They're not safety nets. They're screwing you over.
You've had more super chats, Chris.
Tribes and
okay, I'm on them, Picard. Thank you very much, mate. I just want to let him get through this bit because it's sort of the nub of things. So I'll let him get through this bit and I'll deal with them. Thank you, people.
Especially at scale beyond a family, you start seeing all around the world the emergence of tribes and clans and kindreds, social institutions built around a shared ancestor god, a kind of a glue to hold them together, rituals, initiation ceremonies, certain types of dancing, rhythmic dancing. All of these are trying to create a sense of social solidarity. And of course, that enables these tribes to survive and thrive. And then obviously because all of these tribes are trying to...
Well, that's no small thing. That ancestor god, those rituals, those cultural practices that are repeated through generations, passed down from parents to children, from children to parents to children, and carry on. They help them survive and thrive.
These tribes to survive and thrive. And then obviously because all of these tribes are trying to get bigger so they become stronger, you get chiefdoms where different tribes work together, but these obviously can fracture easily because there isn't really a sense of solidarity beyond the sort of narrow tribal allegiances.
Because culture, and this is what is right at the heart of the multicultural problem. You all know this, but it bears repeating. It's not a big cultural soup. Multiculturalism, the clue's in the fucking word. It's not a culture made up of many different cultures. Culture functions to be exclusive. It excludes others. It says, we are us. You are not. That's what that ancestor god does. That's what those rituals. These are our rituals. We do this. We do these things. We listen to this music. This is our culture. This is how we dance. This is our art. This is what we do when a girl turns into a woman. This is what we do when a boy turns into a man. This is what we do when someone gets pregnant, when someone gives birth, when someone dies. Whatever it is, it is by definition an exclusive thing. You're not part of it. The whole idea of assimilation is just an airy fairy dream, because you can do it, but it's only an illusion. It's an illusion because it's like dressing up in a costume and playing the other. And trust me, we're being played. and so, like he says there, so to help survive, you want to grow, you want to get bigger. So you've got hierarchies, natural. Why do you have hierarchies? Because some people are stronger, some people are cleverer, some people are more manipulative, some people can breed more. So, we are not created equal. Some people are better to be told what to do. They enjoy life like that. They like working. They don't like telling people to work. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people want to be above them people. Like we could call them a managerial class. And there's people who want to be above them, the kings, the chieftains. And they organize everything. They oversee everything. They've got powers. They are seen historically as having powers beyond humanity. And they meet up with other chieftains, but they've got different cultures. But they want to survive and thrive. They want to get bigger. So how do they do that? How do they do that when they've got these exclusive cultures? Like we see it so many times. Look at what's going on with the flags at the moment. English people are putting up the St. George's Cross everywhere, it looks like. But from what I see on the internet, they're going up everywhere. And loads of leftists are being caught taking them down. There's a wicked video of some geezer hiding in some garden. So some bloke come out, he went, "Oi, what you up to?" And he says, look at this mug hiding in a garden. And he puts his phone and there's this bloke like shitting himself. He goes, "Oh, you fucking mug." It like proper working class aggro. And this bloke sort of gets up and he's terrified. He goes, "Why are you taking those flags down, you fucking mug?" And he runs away like, no. Like, you can imagine him getting home to fucking hide in his Guardian or something. It's ridiculous. Sorry, I've gone a little bit away from what I was talking about then. But, this whole idea that you can't say Christmas because it offends other cultures. It's meant to. It's meant to. Not offend, but it is meant to. They say, "Oh, you can't say at school, you can't say Christmas because there's some students in." When I was a kid, we had 2 or 3 students. We had we had a couple of Hindus, one Muslim, a Buddhist, and this is in the whole school, and a couple of Plymouth Brethren, the exclusive Plymouth Brethren. And when we had our Christian assembly, which we had every morning, where we'd sing Christian hymns and say the Lord's Prayer, I couldn't believe it. The other day I was talking to my missus about all this, and she told me that when she was young, when the Christians came to town, all their parents would say to them, go with them, because they'll give you food and sweets and they'll teach you to write and that. And do what they say, but it's not true. She said that's what they told her. And I put my hands together and I went, our Father who art in heaven. And she went, give me this day our daily bread. Not exactly, but she sort of knew the rhythm and the sounds of the words. And then at the end, then she went, amen. I went, no way. She said, yeah, we used to just go for the sweets and that. Now, there'll be missionaries, of course, going out to Cambodia, like, how old is she? 13. So, 10 years ago. But they'd have been going out there. I don't need to do it for Packer's face. But, they'd have been going out there to try and impose a different culture on them. Why? To thrive and survive. But the idea that one Buddhist, the two Muslims, the one Muslim, the one Buddhist, the two Plymouth Brethren, and I can't remember the other one, now the Hindus, they were taken out of the Christian assembly. It wasn't a question of, we don't have a Christian assembly now because we've got some other religions. No, if you don't like it, you just don't go to it. That's how it used to be, because this is our culture. And it does exclude you, yeah. But you've got no need to worry, because I'm sure you've got yours. I'm sure you're not doing what we're doing when you get home tonight. But nowadays, no, we can't do that. Can't do that. It's excluding them. Stand back from it. Always remember that critical distance. We've had this stuff programmed into us, indoctrinated into us. It's repeated. We almost think it's normal. It's so abnormal. It's ridiculously abnormal that our own state, the state that we pay for, that is there to protect us and should be there to maintain our culture, is now in a position where it's saying you can't have your culture because it excludes others. That's like saying you can't have your hands because they allow you to work. That's what culture's there for. It's just mind-blowing that these people say, no, you can't have it because it's exclusive. Yeah, it is. The logical conclusion of that is having no culture, none. And yet it's not fairly balanced. It's not in this multicultural world. Everyone else gets to have theirs. Everyone else gets to celebrate Eid or what is it? The festival of, I can't remember what it's called. They can have theirs because they're seen as small. Oh, it's only here and there, It's not the whole country, is it? It will fucking soon be, because that's what culture does. That's why people have been doing it since hunter-gatherers decided to start farming. Anytime I hear people saying that culture excludes others, it's like, yeah, water's wet, you fucking dolt. Let's have a look at these super chats. John Hughes dropped to Ayrton Senna. He says, very erotic stream title. This is right up my street. Thanks, Chris. How much to become a member? What of the cousin marrying club? I don't know what you're talking about. If that's a real question, put it in the chat with a little bit more explanation, and Packer will perhaps alert me to it. And I'll tell you. Do you mean a member of the stream? I think it's about $5 a month. But there are perks now. We have these little chats now and again. They're quite good fun as well. if that's what you mean, but I don't know whether you're talking about that or marrying your cousin. Nice one for the Ayrton Senna. 42 drops a Lady Godiva. He says the English have a ceremony. I've got to re-emphasize. The English have a ceremony from going from boy to man, started in 1795, but you all stopped attending because the left called you bigots. Tell me more. Tell me more, 42. I mean, I'm not saying we've never had them. Quite the opposite. Of course we've had them. That's why we nearly, we were the British Empire. We were the British Empire on the back of our ancestor God, on the back of our rituals, on the back of our culture. That's why we were there. But slowly but surely, you can't do that. That's not fair. Vinny Griffin, member for 32 months. He's been a member for longer than that. I'm not buying that for a minute. Thank you, everyone. Very encouraging. I hope you're enjoying the stream. I'm just checking entropy. We're good over there. I'll just have a look on the old Buy Me a Coffee. And we're all good over there. Right, roll VT. Let's carry on. It starts getting right into the guts of it now, people. Oh, I think another super chat coming. John Palmer, 47 months. John Palmer was a member before this stream even began. John Palmer was a member before I was born. Nice one, JP. Much appreciated. Wunderbar. Right.
42 to email you.
Do so, 42. If this could be one of our streams where we might have something to discuss. Hello, Fat. Fat says the left are the enemies of society and use the state as a counterfeit. Yeah, that from Fat. Charlie wants to know if it's the confirmation. Yeah, that's interesting, actually. I remember having the church come round my house and offer to get confirmed. But they'd already read me the book of Revelations and I didn't sleep for 6 months. And I just was like, yeah, you can poke that. That wasn't very good. No way has Chuck Berry dropped in a 2 Bob super sticker. Nice one, Chuck. A Prasha Kanatu. Right, here we go, people. We're getting right into it now.
And so what's fascinating to me is I think the rise of England as a power, quite strange in a way. 1000 AD, Islamic scholars were looking quite amusedly at this set of islands off the kind of northwest coast of the Eurasian landmasses, very backward, and we were pretty backward. But there was a ban on cousin marriage.
Bosh! And right there, that's it. Did you hear that? The Islamic nations were looking at us and like almost as barbarians. And history shows that. History shows that.
Brought in by the Catholic Church, it affected England and other parts of West and Northwestern Europe. And that forced people to marry outside their tribe. Tribes are held together by inward marriage. You marry other tribal members so the tribe survives through time, historical time. Whereas it went up to 6 cousins by the 10th century. So it's forcing
6 cousins. They banned marriage up to 6 cousins. That's a hell of a lot of extended family you ain't allowed to go near. And for good reason, regardless of medical complications.
people to marry outside their tribe. So
6 cousins is in cousin
a
or cousin.
sixth cousin.
Right, yeah.
So in other words,
you were only allowed to marry someone who was
further away than your sixth. That's a very, very long.
Yeah.
Let's say
especially back then, you probably really had to have a think.
You had to go to.
There's a feminist, dare I say it, called Luce Irigori, and I'd advise you to read a book she wrote called Commodities Amongst Themselves. And she talks about this. She talks about the way women were exchanged between these tribes that he's talking about as commodities. You know, and you had the better breeders, you had the better lookers, you had the ones in those days. If you had the big hips and the big tits, you were a better catch. Some things never change, you know. But she sees it as a bad thing. But actually, it's what created one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known. Yeah, there you go.
a different village. You
They
had to
didn't-
marry somebody from a different.
They didn't have the sort of heritage tests. So
That's right. That's right.
Hang on, I interrupted, and I want you to hear that whole line in a row.
So in other words,
you were only allowed to marry someone who was
further away than your city. That's a very, very long. Let's say
especially back then. You probably really had to have a think.
You had to go to a different village. You had to marry somebody from a different.
They didn't have the sort of heritage tests. So.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I'm guessing that probably I don't know, but probably the brilliant anthropologist Jack Goody wrote about this, and I think really figured out the importance of family structure to the success of nation states. Effectively, people are marrying outside. The tribes are dissolving over the course of the High Middle Ages. So in much of the world, still as today, there are not nation states. There's basically a group of competing tribes.
Right. This is. Did you hear that? In many places in the world, there aren't nation states. There's many tribes because they marry and breed within the family with cousins. But the banning of marrying cousins, I mean, Henry VIII kind of dirty bastard threw a spanner in the works for a while, but the banning of marrying cousins led those tribes to the nation state. That was the seed that done it. If you don't ban cousin marriage, you have essentially like a proto-multicultural society, which is almost pure war. Again, because are you farming? Have you got agriculture? Well, if you have, you've got to defend it. And if you're only marrying within your group, your family, your slightly extended family, well, where are you getting the numbers from? And half of them are like, I don't want to fight tonight. Whereas the groups that were getting together, the chieftains were meeting, they were swapping women. They were marrying outside that little clan, outside that family clan, and growing, thriving and surviving, making their culture as one, became a nation state. And then at some point that was ratified.
Think of Lebanon and Syria and sub-Saharan Africa. There's
all those places that are just constantly at war. Listen to places he named. I mean, okay, Lebanon sorted itself out a bit.
Check your coffee, Chris.
That's today.
What's that, son?
Coffee. Check your coffee.
Oh, yeah. Good one. Nice one. I'll do a little refresher. Dottie bought a future. Thanks, Dottie. She says, you are 100% right, Chris. Well, 98, but I'll take it. Our Christianity, customs and culture is precious to us. Scoring bullseye after bullseye tonight. Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you, young Dottie. But in fairness, I'm just sort of bouncing off what old Matthew Side's saying. But it's powerful stuff, isn't it? It starts to make sense. You start to understand why I bang on about culture all the time. You know, it's easy to say, well, you know, politics is downstream from culture, but it fucking is. You know, if ever it all fell apart and I felt I had to get something going, I'd after I'd set up some kind of hierarchy, I'd start working on the fucking artwork. I'd start working on the music. I'd start working on the rituals. I'd start telling those boys when they're men. I'd have the whole fucking clan there, dancing with them, jumping them up and down, sending them off into the woods for 2 weeks. Go on, fuck off. If you don't come back alive, we don't want you anyway. Because when they do, they know they're a man. They're the things that keep it together. And they've been taken away from us. They've been completely stripped away. And the cultures that the state seems to want to bring in the millions, they're not only allowed to have theirs, it's promoted, it's funded, we pay for it. When we talk about a culture war, that's what it actually is. It's not about fucking I'm pansexual, I'm this and that. It's about cultural territory, cultural practices. and the ability to have them, show them, and have them affect the way we live, and exclude others, or not have that. And not having that, what are you? Just a bunch of individuals. Well, good try. Imagine you've got two armies. One army is held together through tradition, through ritual, through ethnicity, through culture. It knows itself. It's got skin in the game. And then what? You're just going to go, oh, you lot. Oh, you over there. Oh, mate, stop fishing. We need you because, this lot. They ain't coming. They're not going to come. They're not going to do anything, which is why I seeing all these flags go up is potent as hell. It's really potent. I'll take it back a bit for context. Thank you, Dotty, though. That's very kind.
People are...
But sorry, people, to interrupt again, but don't forget, this all come from the banning of cousin marriages. And as you'll find out, well, you probably know, there are communities in Western Europe that haven't banned cousin marriages. And do you realise what that means? There's no assimilation. They don't want it. I mean, they'll do the deed with underage women by the fucking potential million, but they're not exchanging women. But assimilation is just a myth. It's a myth.
Marrying outside. The tribes are dissolving over the course of the High Middle Ages. So in much of the world, still as today, there are not nation states. There's basically a group of competing tribes. Think of Lebanon and Syria and sub-Saharan Africa.
So do you understand that we've done a reversal of that? We had the nation state. We then had the empire. Okay, the empire came back and there's a few pink bits left on the map that you could call England, like the Falklands or whatever. But then taking all those things away that created the nation, we're going back. We're reverting back to almost hunter-gatherers, while the people, that these places he's talking about, sub-Saharan Africa, Lebanon, etc., they never formed the nation state, not a functioning one at least, and they're always fighting each other. And that's where we're being moved to. We're being reverted back to a proto-multicultural state. It's not progressive to be multicultural. We've already done it. We've already had it. It didn't work. That's why we grew out of it. That's why we created the nation, which did work.
Still fighting. And in that kind of a society with these different verticals, these different tribes, nepotism flourishes because you give jobs to people within the tribe, because you don't trust people in other tribes. They're often your enemy. If you do win power through a democratic election, you loot the public coffers to share with your sectarian proxies. You extort bungs from strangers to share with your group. So you can see corruption and the lack of social trust. This is all things that happen within tribal societies. But because we broke out of it, we started having individualism. So people were no longer enmeshed within a clan where their marriage was arranged for them, where their place in the social structure was determined at birth, where all of their responsibilities were to people on the inside. They now had to think about it. If you grow up in a tribe, you know that your business partner is going to be somebody within the tribe. And there's a certain reciprocal responsibility to do. Whereas if you're an individual, you're out of a tribe, you're on your own. You have to. And
there's that skin in the game lark again. If you're that individual, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna make food for everyone. I'm gonna open up a restaurant. Provide nutrition. But they're nothing to me. These people, they're strangers. They might look like me. They might have grown up round where I live, but really I'm just after money for me. So I'll make that food as cheap as possible, as processed as possible to look after number one, which, ironically causes the opposite to happen, but you know, it looks good on the surface.
Cultivate certain dispositions in order to attract voluntary partners, business people who voluntary exchange, voluntary association. And I think that began to build out a very profound trajectory for England, because at the same time that we're developing a stronger sense of individualism, ironically, we're also developing a wider solidarity to the nation state.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if you're somebody in a tribal society, the tribe comes first. If you're in an individualistic society where you're cultivating your own attributes, people are becoming more patient. You can see this in the level of interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because no one wants to do business with a hothead.
It's interesting here because gold, well, I'll let it play out.
They want someone who's patient, someone who's willing to take their time, who can delay gratification. So you start to see a reduction in the real interest rate in the UK over the course of this dissolving of the clan and tribal institutions.
And more social cohesion.
More social cohesion, and also a sense of, instead of these narrow identities, an emerging national identity.
Yeah.
So I think that you actually get your point that individualism can weaken a society in a certain sense. That's true, I think, where we are today. But there was a very long period, I think, where the combination of individualism and an emerging national identity did incredible things for this country and created a lot of people with deep wisdom, in addition to institutional wisdom that we see in the rule of law, in parliament, in the guilds, and other related institutions.
So I don't want to just sort of throw you into the culture wars, but there we were with those sort of individualism going quite well here, and then invited an inordinate number of people who were perhaps still in that tribal.
So this is interesting from Gold because he's trying to. I'll play it.
Culture wars, but there we were with those sort of individualism going quite well here. And then...
I think I should mention what went pop. Packer left the stage for some reason, and what went pop? Did you all hear that? That's the worst, weakest VAR ever. When someone comes back on, it goes, and it was Packer. So that's what went pop, John. It weren't me, my body, or any scientific experiments I may have or may not have going on. It was Packer re-entering the stage. Dotty was on it as well. Yeah, Shane. Less of a part, more of a part, shall we say. So there's a really interesting, this is really interesting what happens now in this chat. Because Matthew Said is essentially a leftist centrist, and old Goldilocks isn't. He's becoming more and more based with the more and more people he's had on talking to him. So there's a weird little bit of pushback and a little bit of, you know, they're trying to. I feel like I shouldn't sort of do an autopsy before you've watched it, but look out for the kind of pushback that goes on over this next section. I think it's this bit anyway. I'll take it back a bit.
In
related institutions.
So I don't want to just sort of throw you into the culture wars, but there we were with those sort of individualism going quite well here.
See you later, VC. Take care, mate. You got me email.
Yeah. And then invited an inordinate number of people who were perhaps still in that tribal phase, or still was maybe not the right word because it implies one is more ahead of the other, but they were in the tribal phase, who have much stronger ties, who have less interest in social cohesion with the rest of the nation. Has that been maybe the downfall here?
It's been a serious strategic mistake.
And that's it. There you go. You've got a nation state that started farming, banned cousin marriage, and that historical arrow led to a very strong, very powerful, exceptionally wealthy, exceptionally educated, exceptionally well-armed nation. And what did we do? Import loads of people who've barely got to the agricultural state. They don't want to move past it. So what's that going to do to the nation state? Well, we know what it's going to do to it because we're there. Well, sorry, but you are. But we, you know, I mean, we're there historically. It isn't going well. You know, I've got a mate. He's a Muslim. I used to live next door to him, and he's got a daughter, and his father, so the girl's grandfather, he won't let her marry outside of the very close family, but she's out on the piss every weekend, like meeting whatever bloke she wants, but they have to keep it proper under you know, the grandfather seems to think that that's just never going to happen. And, you know, that I can remember a time where I read an article, I think it was in Bullshit Fountain in The Guardian, where they were even defending honor killings. They were certainly defending FGM, female genital mutilation. Oh, well, you might think that's a bad thing, but, you know, who are you to judge another culture? Cultural relativism. Or all culture, just because you don't like it, doesn't make it a bad thing. What is that? Are these the kind of? Is this the kind of pathetic, obvious self-deception we have to drop ourselves down to make this thing look like it's working? It's just a joke.
One is more ahead of the other, but they were in the tribal phase, who have much stronger ties, who have less interest in social cohesion with the rest of the nation. Has that been maybe the downfall here?
It's been a serious strategic mistake.
You could say that strategic mistake. It's on its way to devastating the entire nation. And as he said there, they've still got the rituals. They've still got the ancestor god. They've still got the ethnic bonds. They've still got the culture. They've still got the exclusive culture. So they're stronger, even though there's nowhere near as many of them. And our state supports their culture. It elevates it. It celebrates it. It funds it. We fund it. I pay taxes in England. My business is in England. Yet we can't have it. And when you introduce loads of essentially pre-agricultural cousin banging clans into a nation state, what do you think's going to happen? It's like throwing 5 rats into a fucking garden. Give it a year, you're going to have 1,000 rats, and the garden's going to have no food growing.
One that we didn't envision at all, because very few people in the West, we've been individualistic for so long, we don't understand tribal nations or tribal psychology.
And because we'd formed the nation, that's why we killed God. That's why we let the rituals go. That's why we didn't need the glue to the cohesion, the cultural cohesion, because the nation done it for us. One nation under God, under the flag. We had skin in the game. Most of us here grew up on streets where all those front doors were open. We all had skin in the game. We had the nation. It's almost like a meta ritual. It's almost like a meta, a culture. But it's only as strong as the nation's borders. Because when the nation state replaces the rituals and replaces the ancestor god, replaces all those other things I've said 1,000,000 times now, that's fine. But it has to be bordered. It has to be protected. And we've done the complete opposite. We've just let the floodgates open. No, come in. Come in, you millions of very strong fighting age men with clan-like ambitions.
I mean, we thought that we could liberate Iraq and that it would become a Jeffersonian liberal democracy. We had no idea about the clan affiliations, not to mention the Sunni Shia split. which made it very difficult to create functioning democratic institutions. So I think bringing a lot of people over.
It's an amazing point. Trying to liberate Iraq. Because we saw Iraq, it's a nation state. We can sort this out. Not a problem. But there's exclusive cultures within that place that we see as a nation, but it doesn't function as a nation. It just, the Sunni Shia Muslim divide. It's been going on since Islam started. And what you're just going to throw a bit of money at it and say, look, you can have courts and you can have common law and you can have democracy. And they were all like, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't want it. What? We'll take the money though.
This period of mass uncontrolled immigration has been a mistake. But
you think so? Give me a few examples. Oh, it's all right. I see them every fucking day.
Remember, I think it's worth saying, if I may say so, that over time, new people to this country begin to assimilate.
Providing there aren't too many.
Well, two things. Providing, you're right. If you have,
Did you hear it? Did you hear Goldie though? You might not like him, but providing there aren't too many. And then this is the kicker. Providing
there aren't too many.
Well, two things. Providing, you're right. If you have very, very many, they can recreate enclaves.
Which they've done without a shadow of a doubt. That has happened. We used to call them our cities.
Where they don't necessarily, but also this can be held together by cousin marriage.
And there you go. That's it again. Because they're still banging their cousins, there's no need for assimilation. They haven't got nation. They haven't got a nation. What they've got is a culture. And they're not going to dilute that by banging outside of their extended families. They're not going to do it. They won't have it. They kill their own daughters who do it. Not all of them, but we all know about it. I had a mate who went out with this Muslim girl for 3 years. He didn't spend one night with her. Not one night. She had to go home every day. Like she was on fucking curfew. I'm surprised they didn't put a tag on her. Because that's how important it is to that family that she is no way going to breed outside of that clan. And it's as important to them as the nation is to us. Because that's their culture. I'm going around in circles here, but it's just all so obvious. And yet every day we have to put up with diversity as a strength. Every day we have to put up with the Guardian saying putting flags up is racist. No, putting flags up is exclusive. Yeah, it is. So's that call to prayer you'll hear halfway around London every day. That's not talking to me. That's not talking to you. It is. It's telling you this isn't anything to do with you. Stay away. Stay away. Don't come here. You're not welcome. That's what it's about. And yet we don't get that privilege in our own nation. We don't get that.
Go on.
People think about somewhere in Rochdale where people from the Kashmiri community are still marrying their cousins. It's a mechanism of social.
Hello, Kajet. Oh, how are you, son? I hope you're well. Long time. It's a fair point. I mean, it's not really. It's kind of lost all strength, hasn't it? Because the eye test has overrun any kind of propaganda. But check out what he says here. I'll take it back a bit.
Somewhere in Rock.
This is really interesting because it's a specific example.
Marriage.
Go on.
People think about somewhere in Rochdale where people from the Kashmiri community are still marrying their cousins.
Their first cousins in Rochdale. They're still marrying their first cousins. Why? Why? With all those beautiful women around, why would you do that? Is it an accident? Is it chance? Does it just so happen they really fancy their cousins? I mean, it's a bit of a long shot, that.
It's a mechanism of social sequestration.
And exclusion.
Because they're continuing to marry within the group.
Oh, so when you say held together, you mean holding together perhaps a negative side for Britain, because they remain quite siloed and strong.
Yeah, well, in a funny kind of a way, yes, strong in terms of the power of the patriarch. It's often these clans are run by patriarchs who arrange the marriages and keep hold.
Whoa. John Palmer, who has already donated 3 futures, has donated another 5, and he says this is an amazing stream. Please do more of these again. We need them now more than before. We need them now more than before, in my opinion. Thanks again for the stream, bruv. Though, are you allowed an opinion? Living in Krong Siem Reap. I don't live in Siem Reap. Siem Reap's beautiful, though. In Siem Reap, you're not allowed to build more than 2 stories because it's obviously where Angkor Wat is, and it's like they're keeping it as a site of natural beauty. So there's no high rises there. Lovely place. I mean, I've never been one for the tourism. You know, if I go somewhere on holiday, I want to go to communities. I want to know what the working class people get up to, and that's why I end up hanging around with the junkies and the prostitutes and the criminals. Nice life. Happy holiday. Sorry, love. But no, I live in Phnom Penh. Yeah, you can have an opinion here, but I'm a guest in this country. This isn't my country. I'm a second, if not third class citizen here. And I take that because it's a privilege for me to live here. You know, I'm a very, very minute part of a very small minority. Cambodia is 98% ethnic Khmer. Lucky bastards. Anyway, I want this next section. Thank you, John. That's so very kind of you, because now I know that, all right, I'll do more streams like this. Not a problem.
It's a negative.
But I just want us to hear all this thing uninterrupted, because this is key. And this is an argument, people, that there's a link to this whole video in the description. Watch it, pause it, think about it. You know, learn these arguments. A lot of people always say to me, I wish I could articulate things like you, and, you know, and because I have arguments with my leftist mates and they just trample all over me. But this is actually very simple. Culture exists to exclude the other. That's one thing. We go from the hunter-gatherer to agriculture. Agriculture needs protecting. Protection requires size to thrive and survive. So we ban cousin marriage, and that causes that to happen. And then there's all the stuff. I'm not going to bang on about rituals and the culture that glues us together again. But we have imported not just one type of clan, but many that don't come from nation states and don't want anything to do with it. They still breed with their cousins. But I've taken it back quite a lot, and I will do my best not to interrupt, because this whole next section is the guts of this whole point.
Somewhere in Rochdale, where people from the Kashmiri community are still marrying their cousins. It's a mechanism of social sequestration, because they're continuing to marry within the group.
Oh, so when you say held together, you mean holding together perhaps a negative side for Britain, because they remain quite siloed and strong.
Yeah, well, in a funny kind of a way, yes, strong in terms of the power of the patriarch. It's often these clans are run by patriarchs who arrange the marriages and keep hold of the property. So they're strong in a sense of there's very strong social solidarity, but incredibly weak, because it means they're not getting the benefits of being in this incredible society and the blessings.
And what does that do to a group of people? What does that sense of weakness do? That ties in with Gavin Bowby's angle. You know, when your toilet goes down the pan, you ain't getting a plumber coming into your enclave in Rochdale. Not a fucking chance. When your windows get smashed, a glazer's not coming there. And then you get bitter. And then you get angry, and then the divide is widened, and then the hatred starts. Although, let's be honest, the hatred was already there because it's in certain religious texts, appearing countless times. That's just a fact. Now, you might have some kind of personal reformation where you say, well, yeah, this was a long time ago. I don't pay much attention to those parts. Fine. But if you are within a nation and not within a nation, and you're not getting the benefits of that nation, you get bitter. You start striking out. Look what's that. We know what I'm talking about. We know the racial conflict. We know that a gig was bombed with the intention of murdering white British breeding girls. That's why he said he'd done it.
That can accrue. I think of my father when he married my mum. Was it easy? No.
Because to remind the audience, she was a Christian and he was a Sunni.
So he had converted to Christianity, but he came up with this cultural tradition where, you know, men are more important than women.
Okay.
You know, it took him a long time to understand the idea of sexual equality. So there are lots of cultural jarring what's the right word? Cultural clashes, friction.
Yeah.
You think so? Rollo, hello, Rollstar. I'm yet to read your email. I've got one from you saying this is what I do for a living. I'm always a bit dubious about videos I have to download because, you know, they can crash my computer, but I do trust your Rollstar. He says, I sent daughter to Grandmas in Lithuania for the summer. There's a positive energy there. It's like, I remember England. It's inevitable. It will follow us, though. Yeah, I dated a Lithuanian girl for a while, and she, you know, she just had this natural patriotism. You asked her about her country. She didn't just say, I love it. She knew about it. She knew about their history. She, you know, it was just part of her basic education. Thank you, Rollo, for the donation and the interesting comment. Kids don't even get taught. Kids get taught more about other cultures at school now than they do their own. You know, they don't even teach civics at school anymore. They don't even teach you about, you know, English history. You know what I learned at school? In history, cholera. I learned a bit about cholera. And that's pretty much all I can remember. That might have had something to do with the Tipex thinners, but nonetheless, you know, I'd have expected to know a little bit more. I'll take it back a little bit.
Obviously.
Where, you know, men are more important than women.
Okay.
I've got
to take it back a little bit further than that. So, drink it in, people. Thank you, Rollo. That's really appreciated. Mousecat says, we have a terrible crime. We have had a terrible crime committed upon us. You know, it used to be the case that, you know, before mass communication and things like the internet, history would have to look back on the present. You know, that's an obvious sort of thing to say. But now, you know, we don't need to look back to see that, you know, like, I heard someone the other day on some stream say, we'll be in 10 or 20 years, we'll be looking back at giving puberty blockers to children and we'll be asking, what the fuck are we doing? I'm like, what? We're already asking that. It's just so obviously ridiculous. The sickness of liberalism. What? You think it's going to take 20 years for people to think that giving puberty blockers to children is a bad idea? It's a racket. It's a multi-million-dollar racket. That's all. It's disgusting.
It means they're not getting the benefits of being in this incredible society. and the blessings that can accrue. I think of my father when he married my
I'll just stop that because John says this. How does someone like Gold, who seemingly knows nothing about anything, oh no, he's quite bright, but his interview technique is to let them speak, which I kind of appreciate it. But anyway, have 500,000 subs and gets very well educated and insightful guests on and isn't a YouTube target. You pay for guests. You know, if you're setting up a YouTube channel now, it's not like the old days where you get a camera and a microphone and sit there and go, hello, all right, I'll see if I can get 42 on next week. You know, these people that Andrew Gold will have a team of probably 10, 15 people. This channel will be paying, this channel will probably be giving jobs to 10 people. Video editors, cameramen, lighting men, administrators, people to go out and find guests, you know, people to raise money. You know, YouTube isn't what it used to be. It's turning into the media. You know, that if you've got investment, like I get blown out 2 or 3 times a week trying to get guests on my channel. I just think one day it might hit. One day Lucy Pinder might come on my channel. I've written to people so out of my league, and I'm like, look, it's a tiny channel, but I've got a good community and they'd love to listen to you. You know, I just think, you know, if I ever became a successful writer and was known, and someone with 100 subscribers, 100 live viewers said, will you come on my channel? I'd like to think, I'd go, yeah, go on, why not? Although, you know, maybe I'll be too old and knackered and just go, no, you can fuck off. How much are you going to pay me? I'm too tired. I can barely do my own channel. Anyway, apologies for the massive interruption. But that's how, John, they pay these guests. And that's how they get them. Jed has bought me a future. He's put a video in, so I'll have a look at that video a bit later. Nice to see you. I take it you're watching Plastering Jedi. I didn't get into editing so much, but I was writing, so I might give it another go. Fair play, Jed. Machano Caprasciatuti. He didn't leave a message. He's left a video. If you want, Jed, I'll show the video at the end. I don't know whether it's private or not. So that's up for you. Packer, can you keep an eye out for... hello, Nigel. See what Plastering Jedi says about playing that video. He might not want his face on the screen. Anyway, here we go. So, again, I will try not to interrupt it. Thanks for the donation, Jed.
Mum, was it easy? No.
Because to remind the audience, she was a Christian and he was a Sunni.
So he had converted to Christianity, but he came up with this cultural tradition where, you know, men are more important than women. Okay. You know, it took him a long time to understand the idea of sexual equality. So there are lots of cultural jarring.
John, what do you mean you don't take that? That's what you do. This geezer is a journalist for the Times. He's probably on a couple of $100,000 a year. He's not going on this show for nothing. This is his job. He's a journo. Andrew Gold doesn't just ring him up and go, do you want to come and spend 3 hours answering my very difficult questions with the possibility of exposing yourself on YouTube? No, it's a job. What part of what I said don't you buy? I mean, I'm only because I'm interested. I'm not saying you might be right. It was only my opinion. Here we go.
What's the right word? Cultural
clashes,
friction.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I keep saying I'm not going to. You can't look at the grape scandal as cultural clashes. Come on.
Cultural jarring. What's the right word? Cultural clashes, friction.
Yeah.
Murders, sexual assaults, complete domination of towns and cities.
But by meeting and marrying my mum, he's connecting with her family, with her friends. with all of these different ways of thinking about the world. And of course, he's seeing this society not from the vantage point of living within a silo and looking out at these strangers, but being part of it and then navigating his way through it. Did he suffer from racism in the 70s, 60s and 70s? For sure. But he came to love this country more than almost anybody I know. He was one of the great patriots to this country, extraordinary. And he would have fought and died for the country, no doubt about it in my mind. And one of the reasons is, and it's a deep irony that's often missed by people who grow up here, he could see that even though there was racism, he was getting a chance based on his talents and his hard work, compared to Pakistan, which is deeply sectarian, or India with this iniquitous caste system. This was the least racist society he had ever experienced. And I think for that reason, he really came to admire what we've achieved here. And it worries me deeply that cousin marriage is holding these siloed communities in places like Rochdale and Bradford who are not getting the benefits. And actually, in addition, congenital diseases.
Well, yeah, I was going to say.
Recessive disorders, much higher prevalence of that. And I would like to ban cousin marriage, not because I'm negative towards these people, but to free them.
And there you go, people. It's at that point I will end that clip. I recommend you watch the rest of it. It's fascinating. It really is. You will have political disagreement. Oh, look, I forgot I can relax. You will have political disagreements with Matthew Said. You know, he's a centrist leftist, but Goldie kind of keeps him in check. But what a story. I had no idea. I had no idea about any of that. I knew about the agricultural revolution, and for hunter-gatherers, I don't need to tell you what I knew, do I? It hardly counts. But it's another thing that you can just simply do. We're banning marrying your cousins. Bye. There's another load gone. Now, that was quite hard work for me. I was shouting. I was overly zealous and passionate. I'm fucked. It's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyone want to... Oh, here we go then. Older plastering Jedi. Remember, people, that is 16 minutes of an hour-long video. Link in the description. I recommend you watch it. Educate yourself on this stuff. All you've got to do when you're debating people is not get emotional. As soon as you get emotional in a debate, I mean, I was getting emotional here, but I'm not debating. I'm making points. As soon as you get emotional, your emotions will overrun your ability to communicate. And you can just say, you can learn this stuff and simply say it. And you don't, when you're in a debate with someone, don't try and win the debate. I need some water, my old nodules are aching.
There's a super chat coming.
Jesus. When you're debating with a leftist or anyone, don't get emotional. If you feel yourself getting emotional, just call it. Just say, hang on a minute. Whoa, I'm getting emotional. That puts them on the back foot because people don't do that. And that's a weapon. It's a great weapon as well. I've seen it. I've used it for the last 30 years. Hang on a minute. Hang on. I just want to calm down a little bit. When someone sees you do that, they're like, hang on a minute. This geezer's a fucking expert. You don't have to be an expert, but you're just getting yourself into a better place. It's like a mini meditation. Just be aware of what's happening. I'm letting my emotions get on top of me, and they're going to make me weaker. So I'm going to just take some breaths and remember what's at stake, because debates change people's lives. Debates change people's minds. And you change people's minds, you change people's lives. You change people's lives, you change other people's lives. And you know, you can have a huge impact. But don't try and win an argument. That's the biggest mistake ever. Because then you risk losing it. And I will tell you now, I know Marxists that will wipe the floor with some of the most intelligent people in the world. Not only because they know their stuff, but because they know the technique of argumentation. They know how to. It's like Monopoly. Me and my mother used to have Monopoly tournaments. We'd average like 350, 400 points a game each. And this was when I was like 14, not because I had a great vocabulary, but because Monopoly is about technique. It's not about words, it's about technique. And so I know Marxists that will get your emotions going deliberately. They're using argumentative techniques. They'll get you angry. Once they've got you angry, they've got you in the palm of their hand. They're sitting there laughing now because you're just flying off the handle. Don't try and win an argument, because then you risk losing it. All you're trying to do is find the truth, and keep repeating that to them. Say, look, I'm not saying you're wrong, but there's something, there's something about what you're saying doesn't add up, and I'm trying to find that. And then you can put things to them, and then they're on the back foot because they're defending their position against the truth. And at no point will you have to go, oh, you sussed me right up. I feel like, and that, again, that will make you emotional. That will make you angry. I've had people strike me down in arguments at the point where I've just wiped the floor with them. And they just go, you cunt. So don't do that. Just remind them you're just trying to find the truth, because truth is important. Right, let me see if I can work this out, how to do this. This will be a first. Oh, it looks like I can. We've got the volume up. So this is young Jedster, plastering Jedi. Lovely bloke. I won't tell you too much about him, but I've had a couple of chats offline of him. He's a nice fella, doing well for himself. I was very proud of him, actually. I thought if we had a nation of people like young Jedster, we'd be absolutely flying. Let's see what he says now, and completely ruins what I just said. Here we go. I don't know how well this will work, but we'll give it a go. It's a video from Buy Me a Coffee, so I don't know. I've never done this before. Here we go. Jedster.
Yeah, mate. What you call an Indian who's lost his door keys? Gangadin.
And he's ruined everything. There you go, with a terrible, terrible joke. Thank you, Plastering Jedi. I'm in the lock business, and so I've heard many, many key jokes. Well, I'm not going to say them now because they are also as equally as offensive as that. Nice one, though, Jed. Appreciated. Yeah. So remember that. I'll tell you what. There's a couple of books I'd recommend. I always say this: The Culture Industry by Jewish Marxist professors Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer. It is not easy going. It's really complicated because language is a faulty system. It's when you're talking about language, using language, and so when you're trying, language has been weaponized since words began, and so when you're trying to discuss that using that weaponized language, it's necessarily quite complicated. But the culture industry, I'm yet to find a better critique of modern corporatism and how culture has been weaponized against us. You know what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, about the exclusive use of culture, repetition, rituals. There's another book by a Marxist I'd recommend you read. I described myself the other night as a far-right Marxist. As odd as that sounds, I've got no, as you know, I've got no time for the Marxist solutions. But a lot of the Marxist analysis of the problems, they're spot on. They're absolutely spot on. I explained the other day, if I told you that there was a body of work that has been proven to be able to get the oppressed class, which in England at the moment is native white working class people, to uprise and overthrow the state, well, that's there. That body of work is out there, and it's been proven. Christopher Hitchens described himself as a conservative Marxist. I mean, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek when I say it, obviously, because, you know, Marxism is a body of work that spanned like 50 years. A lot of it is, I think, is cack. A lot of it, I think, is some of the best political writing ever. I say that on YouTube and it will get clipped. It won't, because no one but you lot watch me. Maybe you can clip it. But it's, you know, you just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater with some of those theories. Das Kapital is so boring. It's 3 volumes of it. There are some classic moments in it, though, where Karl Marx goes, you know, like, listen, think of Mao's China. Think of the Cultural Revolution. There you go, Cultural Revolution. Wasn't a war, was it? It was a cultural revolution. This is why culture is so important. Let's make ourselves exclusive against the world as communists. That's what they've done. Think of Mao's China. Think of Pol Pot's Cambodia. Think of it. Think of the Soviet, the Soviet Union. Right? Think of what happened in those places. Think of the barbarism of those places. Think about the Gulag Archipelago, right? And what you know about those places. In Das Kapital, Marx says, words to this effect, and I'm going to play it up a little bit, but he says, I mean, it's quite simply after the reification of the working class, the average man will perhaps fish in the morning, maybe do plant some potatoes in the afternoon and paint in the evening with a glass of wine. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I know you wanted that to happen, but you forgot, you missed a few things out. Yeah, it's a weird old book. And the labor theory, the labor theory of value has obviously got its problems, as obviously has being able to plan your resources when you've got hello, I'm on my other monitor now because I can't read the super chat. So nice one for that, Rollo. Rollo dropped another one, 199. We're importing a class system, them on steroids. What a great point. You were obviously listening to what that geezer in the video said. You know, look at the caste system in India. The caste system in India is, it's the class system that we were used to, that we still have, but on steroids. I can remember at my comprehensive school, when there started being a lot more Indian kids, they're Hindus, and some of them just wouldn't talk to the others. And there was one bloke who was a good mate of mine, incredibly intelligent, became a multi-millionaire, but these divvy kids, they wouldn't talk to him, they wouldn't have anything to do with him. And I said, why don't you like him? And like they were all right, but they were just a bit stupid. And they said to me, he's a lower caste. And I didn't even know what a class was. I didn't even know about class systems then. I was like 12. They said he's the lowest caste. You know, and they said one of them said if he was drowning, they wouldn't go near him. They don't want to touch, wouldn't want to put their hands on him. And they said, and if they did, word would get around the village. And I remember being 12 and just thinking, there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. And we've imported this. We're importing that, and they're marrying their cousins. It really is a peculiar situation to be in. Bradley dropped £2 in. Did you see my comments on Andrew Gold's video? I did not, but unless you put them like in the last 5 minutes. No, man, there's comments going up all the time, Bradley. So no, I didn't. I mean, literally, there's 2,500 comments nearly. One went up 56 seconds ago, then 2 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes. I'll have a look for it, Brad, later. I'll do a control and F. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it is. I think it's called that anyway. Leon. Hello, Leon. How are you, son? Leon says, I can't read it. Government takes 301 billion in tax. Government spends 1. Hang on, just so I get this right. Government takes 301 bill in tax. Government spends 1,244.9 billion. You've lost me there, Leon. Packer, any idea?
Yeah, I think that's just basic numbers. That's what I think we might owe the 1,244.9.
Are you talking about the fiscal black hole, Leon? I didn't mean to say black hole, Leon. Thank you, Leon. I might, if you want to elaborate, you don't have to pay. I will ask young Picard to look out for that. Shane says, I long for the days when I could mate with a bird till her legs fell off. You know, they were the golden days, weren't they? I strangled a girl until she stopped breathing. I spoke to her the other day. I wrote her into my novel because she worked in Soho, so I put her in it, but in 1986. I tell you what, she had the biggest boobs I've ever actually had in my hands. I've seen bigger.
It literally spends over 3 times more than it takes.
Right. Okay. Nice one, Leon. There you go. If you're asking me to explain that, I mean, fuck knows. It's not my area at all, but not a great one. I think old young Bradley, he's dropped a 5 spot. I just took umbrage to Matthew. That'll be Goldie, surely. I thought it was Andrew. Is his name Matthew Gold? I thought it was Andrew. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's frequently me that's wrong. Why did I think he was called Andrew? I can't believe Arsenal have just poached another player off of Spurs. Sorry, I just saw it come up. It's Andrew. It is Andrew. I'm not correcting you there, young Bradley. I'm educating you. I took umbrage or Matthew in the chat. Is that what you mean? Calling Brits backwards 1,000 years ago. Oh, Matthew Sayi, the geezer is interviewing. Of course, there was 2 people there. Yeah, but I think unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's just history. The Islamic population were in many ways more advanced than Western Europe in those days. There's no real historical fact, but the historical facts I've looked at would suggest they were. But I can understand why you'd still take umbrage. Good job. Right, I have actually got a little bit of a cooler. I've got a little bit of a cooler. I've done 2 hours and 11 minutes. I am fading fast. Actually, I'm not going to do that cooler because it will There's no point. It's so disjointed from what we've been talking about. Right, Picard, what did you make of tonight's stream?
It was a very good stream, very interesting. The chat was going at 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, I tried to get as many up, but it was obviously confusing. Packer, can you put messages on the screen? Have you got that ability?
No.
I wonder if you actually have. I wonder if there's some way I can get you to do that. Because 42 showed me once that you can share images.
I can present stuff, yeah.
Not quite the same as putting comments on the screen. I mean, I've done it the other day. You can automatically do it, but it's a bit rubbish. They're too small. Look, not only does it cover Packer's head, but honestly, people, is that any use to you? I mean, on YouTube, I'm not watching it on YouTube. I suppose I could have a look myself. I really want to thank you people for engaging in this stream because I was blown away by it. I was absolutely blown away by that. It was news to me, and I just thought, you know, it was like almost like a missing link. No, it's not worth it because they're right next to them on YouTube anyway, and it covers Packer's little head. Look how sad Packer looks when he had those writing on him. He looked gutted. Right, people. What song's that from? Pags? Can you guess it? It's very subtle in the song, but it goes, people. If you get that, Pags, I won't do a lot, but I will be absolutely blown away. Shane Ross Jury says, look at his poor head, Packer. He looked all upset, didn't he? It's not the song, people. Look, Pags hasn't got a clue. It's not the Doors. Lata says we need people. Right, listen, did I tell it, Latus? My novel that I was glad I wrote and was going to be finished next week is now like 112,000 words long. I've fucked it. I've overdone it. It's not the Island Boys. It's not Church People. It's a great call. Great
Buffalo
one.
Soldier.
So
is it Buffalo Soldier?
There you go. There you go. It would have been bad manners without that, wouldn't it? Right. We enjoyed the stream. I'll leave it there, people. It'll only go downhill now because I'm running on. I've got to get more yogurt and honey in me. I can't wait for my missus to come back tomorrow and start feeding me again. No, it's not. The thing is, it's content editing. And, you know, I've just got to take a load of stuff out. And it's hard doing that because I like it. But Lars, you'd understand, you cannot give someone a journal formatted novel that's approaching 400 pages. It's ridiculous. And it will damage the rest of the book. You know, it should be.
Splitting it up. You thought about splitting it up? Trilogy. No,
because, well, I did. I thought about it, but straight away there's a problem. There's too many problems with that. Because there's a few story arcs, and no, it's not. That doesn't work for me. I appreciate it. Have I said hello to you, Mr. Bontoft? Mega Essex boys, second stream in as many 3 days. Nice to see you, mate. Hope you're well. I tell you what, Mega Essex boy, I'm so glad you advised me not to build that house. I don't think you were here the other day, but my missus found a company that builds houses in the province, and they look great. They look absolutely amazing, and we can get the whole thing done. I think we worked out at about 34 foul. the whole house, and it's massive. Turns out the land we've got is almost the size of a football pitch. I didn't know that. I haven't even seen it. I don't like going there. It's too frightening. Oh, fuck me. Did I tell you I had a rat in my kitchen? What am I going to do? Not a mouse. A fucking rat. Like that big without his tail. Like the tail would have made it about that big. I was cleaning my teeth. I had my headphones in. Like, listening to some music, and I turned around and it was just fucking there. And I looked at it and I just went, not scared, just not scared. I thought it would just bolt out the way it come. Like our door has got an hole under it that big. It hasn't now. It's got about 20 towels stuffed in it. When my missus comes back, she's going to go berserk. What have you done to all the fucking towels? Well, that reminds me, I better have a shower tonight. I haven't had one since she left. I tell you what, I absolutely need a girlfriend at this stage. If she was gone for another week, I'm like a madman on my own. I just walk around like slightly hunched over, not eating, like finding scraps in the fridge and thinking, oh, that counts as dinner, doesn't it? Like a couple of cream crackers, well, Cambodian cream crackers, Khmer crackers that have reached Ben's stage, yeah. Oh, a little bit of chopped carrot on that. Yeah, that's dinner. Look, I seriously ate that. Just one though. Oh, that'd do. That'd get me through the afternoon. Fucking hell. And like today, I had such a nostalgic dream. I'm such a nostalgiophile. It was so nostalgic that I went back to sleep to get back in it. I know how to do that lucid dreaming lark. So I went back to see her again because it was my first love. And the fact that she was in my bedroom in the house I grew up in. In all my dreams, I'm about 18. I've never had a dream that I'm this age. Yet I am in terms of knowledge and experience. So I'm in the room with her at 18 and I'm talking to her about what happened and why I was so horrible to her. Not that horrible. I just couldn't keep my willy in my pants. But and she was just being lovely to me. She was just being lovely. And when I woke up, I went, nah, I'm having another hour of that, even though dreams are only a couple of minutes. So I just went back under, woke up about an hour later, and I thought, nah, I'm having more of that. Went back under, then I go to Facebook, then I tell her she's married with children. And then I have to apologize because I always overreach. I give that bird so much grief, not just while I was with her. I stalked her for 9 years. You've all heard the stories when I passed out outside her house and wet myself, and she came home with her kids and her husband, and they must have stepped over me to get in their house. A couple of little 1 mil syringes there floating in the piss. Porn mag. Oh, fucking hell. And she finally let me back into her life about 3 years ago. And most of the time, I'm very respectful. It's an honor that she lets me talk to her. I'm so happy that I've got contact with her. But I do overreach sometimes, and I did today. Oh, man, I shouldn't have said it. That bird I've been looking for years, who I found, who ChatGPT told me how to track down. Her cousin got hold of me where it said, that's my cousin. I've passed on your email. Nada. Now, there's two things going on there. One, she just went, fuck him. What? That was like 35 years ago. What the fuck do I want to talk to him for? Because girls are like that. When girls finish with blokes, they're usually like, what? Why you keep calling me? Whereas I still think about all my birds. The girls I actually went out with, I would love to have them all in the same room just to talk to them. I would love that. And have them all agreeing with each other. I'd prefer to have them individually, though. But I was thinking of making a movie. What's that, Pax?
I've had it. My daughter's. I've had that. My daughter's mother and my ex-wife and my current missus all at my daughter's 18th.
Fuck
me first. 21st. Yeah, my ex-wife and the mother of my daughter and my missus. Oh, and my ex-mother-in-law. Yeah. Great days, great days. Fond memories, lovely times.
Was it really, or was it tricky?
It was a little bit tricky, but it went a lot better than it could have done. I'll just say that.
No, that's fair play. That's fair enough. I've sat at a table at art school in the bar on acid on a table with 6 girls who were all mates, and I'd fucked all of them. And when I'm on acid, I just think honesty and the truth is the best way to go, because, you know, if you on acid, if you try and start being polite and tactful, you start going, "Oh, I didn't. What I meant. I mean. So I just went, hang on a minute. I've had sex with all of you. Oh, it was awful, man. It was awful. They didn't think it was very amusing. They saw it as quite disrespectful. I think they regret.
Really?
I think all of them regretted it. Not me saying it, but actually sleeping with them. I fucked all that college. You know, there was 300 students there. There was about 50 blokes, because it's like theatre, art and music. So most of the blokes were bent. The ones that weren't were just idiots. I must have fucked half of those birds repeatedly. Yeah, see, this is what happens when I just let the stream go on. I've taken a great stream and we've in minutes we've dissolved to, I fucked half that art school. It's ridiculous. I'm going to let you go. Pack, I'll see you in a minute if you're up for it, mate.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah, show Packer some love in the chat, people. I can't do it without him anymore. Ta-da. Well, there you go. I will lay back in the apothecary, give you a little bit more of a view. There you go. If you could see how much hassle I've added to streaming to do that, I won't go into it. I would like to thank Packer for bringing so much to these streams. I know I've done this a lot, but he just keeps doing it. Like, look at that. Before he come, I've just had what was ever in the background. He upped the ante, the aesthetic ante, and I followed him. And when he's not there, I'm lost now. I'm like a little boy lost. I am. So I want to thank Packer. I want to thank everyone who donated. That's very kind of you. We're going to go for some household. I might do 2 tunes. Is that how you spell it? How do you spell household? Right. People, I want to thank everyone who donated. It really means a lot. Oh, someone else just has as well. Last minute one. Lartus has been on the firm for 56 months. Thank you, Lartus. Lartus, have we had you in one of the... I don't think we've had you in one of the members' chats. Too busy sitting around on the piss, no doubt. Thank you, Lartus. Much appreciated. I'm glad you still come here. I like the OGs. Means a lot. I still need to talk to you about something. I think I'm a little bit scared about talking to you about it. It's about writing, obviously. Something we have in common. Don't forget, Lars has got a Substack, people. Go and check it out. Leave comments and things. It helps him. It ain't easy being a writer. It's fucking hard work. I'm just going to check entropy. Nothing on there. No, let me just check the buy me a coffee, make sure I haven't missed anyone over there. Come on, I need to put some more coal in the fucking computer. Buffertron, no, we're all good there. So, and I want to thank, so everyone who donated, I want to thank Packer, and I also want to thank everyone who comes to the streams, and you are really getting into it today, and I really appreciate you all. I love this stream. I love this community. Bless you all. Don't forget to tell the people you love that you love them. I'm going to play a bit of music. I'm going to go for one that's a bit heavy. And then I'll go for one that's a bit... here, let's have this one. We all like this one, don't we? You lose 50 points when you say Blur. Okay, I get it. Some songs sound like other bands. I get that. But this was in like 1992. I think Blur was still doing Modern Life is Rubbish then. Yeah, I will defend my music. Here we go, Anesthetic. Sorry, people, it's asking me to sign in or create an account. No, I don't want to do any of that. How do I not do any of that? Right, hang on. I can't not be able to play my own. Yeah, I'll do that. That'll do. I don't want to age required. Oh, fuck off. 50. Gender required. Man. Man. I tried man. Oh, don't verify my device because I've got my VPN on Mongolia. Oh, thank you for letting me into my. Oh, yeah. What an absolute ruiner. No. Right, people, here we go. Sorry, apologies. Here is Anesthetic. You might miss the intro because for some reason you can't take it back.
Send me for elastic, I'm fantastic. I got geometry, it's pretty drastic. Coochie tiger, where can I hide ya? Your roar's too loud, mate, they're gonna find ya. Anesthetic again. Yeah, you're looking pretty rough, son, your life's coming undone. Everywhere you go, you seem to know someone. I want to change my life, mum, I don't know what's going on. I pick up all the pieces full and then I drop them. And anesthetic again. And I am here now and then. 'Cause absence is everything. Yeah, and aesthetic. Yeah. Again. This is the next line, I wrote it when I felt fine. Now it's pointless, that's the effect of time. How did I get it there? Whisper it in my ear, I don't know myself, at least I ain't got my health. And aesthetic again. And I am here now and then. 'Cause absence is everything. And aesthetic, yeah. Again.
Oh, what a tune. Right, what's it going to be? Cruel Idiot. Is that Cruel Idiot? We just finished. We're just finishing. I'm just going to play one more song. The next song that appears in that chat from the household collection, I'll play. It won't be the same on YouTube, but whatever one comes up, I'll play. Well done. I knew it was going to be Milk. I knew it. I bloody knew it, didn't I? Can't we play Get It Out? I don't want to play Milk. It's too noisy. I'm going to play Get It Out. Sorry, it's nicer. I'll play Milk next time, Barrett. Knee shoes. Yeah. What about this one?
You came in my dream, kissed me, loved me. Tears of a baby roll down your cheek. Your eyes are wide, so look around. You've loved to give, so get it out. Get it out anytime. Love sits beside me, I feel complete. You came in my dream, kissed me, loved me. Your eyes are wide, so look around. You've loved to give, so get it out. Get it out anytime. Good luck to me, good luck to me. Here's my eyes, here's my fatigue. It's going like submarine. Get me a drink, get me some green. I wanna enjoy the sun no matter money. It's going like submarine. How we getting back? I don't know where we've been. If you got that cat pharaoh, I'll break into the speed. Good luck to luck, and good luck to them. I couldn't give up monkeys, fuck if I never saw them again. They're going like submarine. It's going submarine.
Oi, I tell you what, I'm sitting here blasting that out, loving it. I mean, It's me, and I've got associations from writing those songs and then playing them on here. And I forgot that it's 2:30 in the morning and all my neighbours are trying to go to sleep because they get up at 5:30 in the morning to go to work. Whoops. Look after yourselves, people. Much love. Take care. It ain't easy out there, but you can win. Hoita.